Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, uh, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I think it's at 3 p.m. in India, and I think the panel expert joining from different part of the world. Okay, so we will do a formal introduction very soon. So, how are the things, Vivek, at your place now? So, you are in which city?
Yes,
Sydney.
I'm in Sydney, Australia. It is
Okay.
7:30 in the evening here on Saturday, and I live
Mhm.
here for last 35 years.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll do formal introduction. Alex, what time is it with you? It's like at 12:30,
In Valletta, it's 11:30 in the morning.
11:30 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so the three different time zones,
yeah,
11:30,
yeah.
3 o'clock, and 7:30 p.m. It's a
That's
three different time zones. Very
that's the
nice.
supply chain management. That's the supply chain management.
Excellent. Okay, so let's do a formal introduction. Okay, so let me do that quickly. Uh, So Deep, you can just keep letting us know that I know it takes some time, a couple of minutes to the participants to join. So we'll just have a quick chart before that. Okay. So I think the main. Let me start with the importance of the show. So then we talk about the quick introduction. Then we just dwell into the deep discussion of supply chain, which is, I think, it will be very fun today. Basically, what we are trying to do in Data Labs India is we are trying to bring the experts available globally and to the organizations who are looking for some kind of help, or they think they need a help but they cannot contact somebody, or they would like to hear to experts from different part of the world, just to make sure that they are going in the right direction, whatever is the reason. So this so Frusi, which is the Data Labs India's product. So we are trying to connect these the consultants and the industry, and then we explore opportunities to improve supply chain. Okay, that's the whole idea. So let me just yeah. Okay, so I think it's a good to start. Uh, so let me do formal introduction. Let me do that for because it's a very privilege to introduce such a high high caliber specialist to the show. So first, let me introduce Mr. Vivek Sood, Managing Director of Global Supply Chain Group, Australia. So welcome, Vivek ji, for the show. So thank you very much for joining us. So Vivek Sood, the co-founder of Global Supply Chain Group and a distinguished supply chain expert. He gained first-hand experience across over 200 seaports, leading him to discover innovative solutions in supply chain management. That's something very amazing. Over the past 2 decades, he and his team have pioneered significantly in optimizing supply chains and breakthroughs, completing over 400 projects across 84 countries. So the outcome is around more than $1 billion value has been either added or it's saved for the clients, and or it's a sustainable growth initiatives. So Vivek's passion lies in creating, configuring, formulating effective and secure sustainable supply chains for larger companies worldwide and startups worldwide. So that is something. And just Mr. Vivek has written multiple books. Among them, the Five-Star Business Networks is something which I like it very much. It is really very interesting and very contemporary, and it is very useful for any kind of businesses at the moment. And I think that's the way forward. So I would like to hear more about the Five-Star supply chain business networks from Vivek ji when you talk about. Okay, we'll hear more about you. Okay, so I think thank you Vivek sir for joining the session today.
a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to join you in this session. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let me introduce Mr. Alexander Borg, Chairman of Strategy Board for IOSCM MENA, member at IOSCM UK. Thank you, Alex, for joining us. Alexander Borg is a chartered trainer and advisor specializing in logistics, transportation, and supply chain management. So, boasting over 30 years of industry experience. As a managing partner of Support and Supply Management Group, established in 1998, Alex has been dedicated to supporting individuals, professionals, and organizations in advancing their next levels through change, process, and technology. He obtained approval from the Institute of Logistics UK as a local branch in 1999 and has since expanded his influence, enhancing branches in Dubai, UAE, and developing Middle East region. I think Alex is expanding the business across the globe now. I think we will soon see Alex in India. Okay, so thank you, Alex, for joining. So
Thank
just a quick introduction. I think I'll leave it to you for a quick introduction from your side. Just from my side, I'm Sheikh Abdul Khader, the CEO of Data Labs India. So what we primarily do is we enable companies to achieve strategy excellence and also supply chain excellence through our innovative products and services. Okay, so that's what we do through Data Labs India. So Fru Strategy and Fru C are our products, so which we talk about sometime during the show or at the end of the show. Okay, so I take this as a tremendous privilege to talk to the experts of such a stature. So and introduce to all participants. I feel this as it's a privilege. So thank you, the panelists. Thank you, participants. And I think let's do some kind of introduction from experts. So Vivek ji, over to you, sir.
It's a pleasure to be in this panel with these distinguished people. So you already know who I am. If somebody has questions, just send me an email. I'll answer all your questions. You can ask my email address from Mr. Sheikh, and he can give you my email address. So if you have any more questions, send me an email. Okay. My passion is supply chain management. I want to make better supply chains wherever I go. I don't like waste. So I spent my life in Merchant Navy. I started as a cadet and I saw a lot of waste. And that waste really frustrated me. It makes me very angry and frustrated. And when I see waste, I'd say, hey, why are we wasting money or time here? And my passion is to improve things if I can. And if anybody has any need for help, send me an email. I'll try and help you by remote help. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek ji. Thank you very much for joining such an distinguished professional in supply chain. So we will realize how much you know during our discussion. Alex, yep.
Oh, I joined the captain. I am on the same wavelength like him. I have the passion for it for the last more than, I think, 35 years. I started my career as a assistant storekeeper, and I move up step by step until I reach the position where I am today. Without passion, you can't do nothing. If you can, that's what makes you what it makes you passion, because you keep on moving and discovering every day and meeting different people, different cultures, different minds, attitudes, organization structures, so many, wherever you go. We are where we are because we see things different maybe from others, and what we're trying to do is that we didn't keep it for ourselves. We are sharing our passion with others, that's what we are doing. It's not easy, but we are doing it. And what we want to do, like captain, we want to have a better world, and we want to live a better world after us. So hopefully, if everyone puts some effort and a bit of passion, we will have a better world. Because I strongly believe, there is a room for everyone, in this world. There is a room for everyone. There is an opportunity for everyone, but you need to find that opportunity either in your country or overseas, and you need to take it and make good for yourself, for your family, and for you and around you. So if you find that passion and you try to take it to next level, we can do better all of us.
Fantastic. I think the passion for improving lives of individuals and organizations through supply chain and logistics management
Mhm.
is something is very admirable. Okay, so thank you. So let us start. Okay, so let us start with the show because we have limited time. Let us start. Okay, let us take topic by topic. So first, let us discuss about customer-centric supply chains. Okay, so when we talk about customer-centric supply chains, so aligning supply chain strategies with the customer expectations and demand. So how? So I think this is something which is the starting point for any supply chain, which I think very few people know. Maybe some people think that supply chain is a standalone thing you operate something. Yes, that is for sure. But so what is the starting point of supply chain? So aligning the supply chain strategies to the customer expectations and demand. I think that's where we start. So over to you, Alex. So what do you think? So how does that
Okay,
companies now
okay,
to
okay, okay.
to
Okay. I will share with you something which happens to me. It's a bit funny, but I will share. Long time back, very long time back, I was having an interview for a consultant, which is normal, right? On those days with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, um, and the human resources consultant, which was a British lady. Before you go to this kind of meetings, you don't need to waste your time on stupid things like who you are, because they would have done all the research about you. So you go straight to the point. And most of the time when you are advisor, most of your time, what you do, you solve problems. You map the supply chain and you solve problems, right? You try to find
Mhm.
where's the weakest link, etc. So she told me, Alex, how do you normally carry out a supply chain research? And I was very simple in my answer, which is a bit funny. I told her Z to A and A to Z with full stop. She told me, what? I told her Z to A and A to Z to full stop. She told me, I've been in this profession for many years and I have never had such an answer. Can you please elaborate what you mean Z to A? What is this? I said, look, most of the time we spend a lot of time trying to identify what the customer wants. So if we go straight to the point at the last part, what customer wants, at the end destination, we try to identify what they want at the end of the day, because our job is to provide the best. We're trying to deliver the right product at the right time, at the right place, with the right quality and cost, etc. So go straight to the point. What he wants, what she wants, and then build the supply chain, you know, um, as long you go over, So that is what I meant. Usually, what I said, Z to A to Z, it means that you go straight to the point, identify what the customer wants. Especially nowadays, the expectations are so high in terms of speed and cost, in terms of level of response and cost, because not like before. If you see maybe the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and beginning of the 90s, those 40 years, people maybe used to be satisfied with what there was 60s to 80s. Let's put it this way: people used to be satisfied with what they used to find in the market, right? Things in the 90s and overs and keep on evolving. Now people are demanding what the market should provide them. So everything has changed. There was a total change in the situation. And with the social media now and the gadgets, your where you have your when you have this one in your hand all the time, people sleep with it, people go shower in it with it, people go eating with it all the time. you know. So you have all this in a push of a button. You have the world in your hands. Things have changed drastically. So the situation now is that the expectations are fast, so fast. You push a button, and in a few hours, you have a burger after your, you know, these mobile courier motor guys who deliver food chain, etc. You have a burger after your door or pizza in few minutes. Things are go fast, you know. So things, and will continue to be, the expectations are growing, you know, the expectations. So basically, most of the companies have understood this point, that they need to be relevant to the situation of today. They need to be close to the customers all the time in terms of communication, listening, delivering all the time with the right product and costs. And it brings a whole complex all together. I will say it brings all complex all together. What do I mean? It means that not only the supply, not only the provider who's providing to the client, but also the supplier of the provider have to be all together, you know. We had a various examples in the past, like Dell Computers, you know, where they have developed a whole strategic supply chain all around them in different areas around the world. So things are changing all the time, you know. So, and keep on changing. And now with the introduction of, maybe we speak later about it, of AI,
Yeah.
which is going to be even
To talk
faster.
about that.
Yeah, it's going to be faster. The expectations are you can't be in a second division now. You have to be Premier Division. If you don't be Premier Division in terms of creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, ideas all the time, there is no room for you, unfortunately. So you have to. Um, I have to say, working in the supply chain, it's not a matter of now relying on traditions. No way. You have to keep on evolving and investing in different situations, like in IT people, etc. And it's important for people as well. People have to be
Yeah.
on the edge all the time, you know. So in their creative thinking and innovation. Thank you.
Great. I take like some keywords like you talk about innovation, you talk about investment in supply chain, you talk about people involvement. Okay, that's something great. So I think aligning supply chain strategies to the customer expectations and demand is not really it's an option; it's a mandatory. Okay, otherwise you will not be even competitive. So first thing, what you do to make your supply chain competitive is you align your supply chain strategies to the customer expectations and demand in a more organized and sustainable way. I think Vivekji, I think you wrote a lot of books on this topic. So your books covers very interestingly. So can you tell about something about supply chain strategy, how to start and to defining in this?
Yes. When we look at supply chain, first question is, what is the purpose of this supply chain? Why is supply chain existing? Where's the money coming from, and why is it coming in? What does it do to service its customers? So, customer is the final arbiter of the value in any supply chain. If the customer gets the value, he'll put money in the business, and then everybody in the supply chain can get money from the supply chain. If the customer withdraws his money, then the supply chain falls apart. Main question is, where does the customer sit in the supply chain? What I want to show you is this picture in my book. I'll just position it in front of the camera. I have a slide. I'll show it to you later.
Yeah, you can show the slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you see this orange thing? That's the customer.
You need a little move left or a little more left or right. Yeah. So because I can see the text part of it, the other part of the book.
I have this in my slide.
You can share the slide, by the way.
Yeah. If somebody wants it, they can send me email. I'll send them the full slide. Point is, the company has to structure itself around the customer's needs. If they haven't done that, they will fail to meet customers' need, and they will make a lot of noise, a lot of sound, It'll be light and sound show like an Indian cinema film. But that's not really a good company. It's going
Yeah,
for a show.
that's something very interesting. The first thing what every company have to do, especially when you talk about supply chain, is
Yeah.
to know what is customer expectations and
Yeah.
what is the customer demands. Then you align everything in the supply chain towards that. While doing that, you come up with the different supply chain strategies, whatever it's whatever it's suitable for you, and then you work on that. So it's a supply chain versus supply chain competition. It's no more individual company to company now. Okay, so let's take up this discussion further. So when you talk about customer centric supply chains, okay, so how the good supply chain centric supply chain companies, how they do differently for order fulfillment. Okay, so I'll talk about efficient order fulfillment, and
Yes.
then we talk about speed and flexibility to responding to the market changes. Okay, the
Yes.
delivery speed and all. So how does that the successful companies do, Vivekji?
Okay. So let's look at what happened in the COVID. Fulfillment became very important. For a while, the shelves were empty in Australia. Supermarket shelves were empty. Why were they empty? Because there was no fulfillment. So that's the key. That's the touch point, customer touch point. If you have goods on the shelves, people can go and buy them. That's the key. If customers don't get the stuff, they'll stop buying your stuff. So that's the very important thing.
That's great, sir. Yeah, that's great. So order fulfillment basically it is not it has a multiple parts in that. So
Yes.
you have a customer order intake. So how customer enters the order. So
Yes.
how you respond to the delivery. So if it is off the shelf products, you need to make sure that the product is available. If it is a make to order kind of product, so you need to produce and deliver it. So in whatever scenario, so order fulfillment is one of the most important supply chain process in the company, in any company. Okay, I think
Absolutely.
if you take the first, which is the most important process in supply chain, it is I think order fulfillment. So that is the push, the pull or push from the customer. So what is happening? So
That's the start of supply chain. Customer money is the start of the supply chain. Customer
yeah,
walks in your
exactly.
door. He wants these things. He has the money in the
Mhm.
hand. You don't have it on the shelf. He walks away. He won't come back again. He once.
So very nice, sir. I think customer must be happy or something. Maybe he will not tell you that he is not
Yes.
happy. So
Yes.
how does that customer feedback loop will take into supply chain processes, Alex? So what do you think? How can we take the
Um,
feedback loop?
I don't agree with you on some points because if you look, for example, the business model of supermarkets, for example, okay, for example in UK, but all over the world now, they have created long time back what we call the CRM, customer relationship management, and one of the scope was to create this loyalty card, you know, loyalty card where they're because in a chain of in a chain of supermarkets, you will basically you will have two type of customers.
Mhm.
Those which we call the repeaters, which keep you in the
Repeat.
business, yeah, and those the ones who call them one off, who come just pop in, buy something and leave, and you never see them again. And but you build your business on the repeaters, and out of that percentage of repeaters, you always have a bit of drop and newcomers as well. So we try to
Mhm.
keep your market, your position. But the retailers, they have created so much mechanisms in place in terms of relationship management with their customers to make sure that try to understand when they are moving in, w- what type of stock they are buying, how much they are spending, which we call it customer behavior, right? So and there are, I would say, there will be, if a customer is happy, okay, if a customer is happy with the retail outlet because they found fresh products, genuine products, reasonable prices, okay, reasonable prices, selection of quality, selection of quantity, of variety of products, and they are happy, maybe you will get their feedback. Maybe because nowadays there is so much. Even retailers have created different platforms where they correspond with their customers. You know, it's important for them. It's important, especially in remote areas where maybe you will have, a big supermarket, a big name all over the world, and maybe there is not much where you can go. So it's more convenient for your house because the supermarket is close by. The relationship and the communications, it's important. It's a must from the inside from the inbound to the outbound. It's a must that the management, the staff of the supermarket takes continuously feedback of their customers, what they are expecting in terms of, products, quality, service, cost, etc. Because that will reflect on the what you rightly said, the sustainability of the same retail, and also that information will have to be shared not only within the walls of the mall or supermarket, but that information have to be distributed also with the suppliers of the same retail outlet. So, because it's a trading partners, there are three trading partners, which we're calling the supplier, the business, and the client. So that information is paramount that it will be shared. What do you expect from us? Something
Perfect.
which I would like to share with you a long time back. Allow me to just finish my point on this only. I had the occasion to a training program which I was doing in Dubai for many years, and I had one guy from Carrefour. Sorry if I mention. I do not want to make marketing, but the way they cascade from one point of retail outlet, and the way they cascade the information, to the last SKU, it's incredible. They want to know every single move of every SKU, so it go global, and then it go region, and then it go country, and then it go city, and then it go street number, and then it goes to one outlet, and then it goes to category management, and then it goes to, my God, they go so deep. They do a deep analysis because they want to make sure they keep their position and their customers, at least most of their customers, because we know that sometimes it's very difficult to satisfy all customers, but at least you try to keep that gap close to your customers.
Perfect, sir. I think you talk about retail, and I think retail is one of the best example of supply chain. There is no question. But I'll just take another point of view. So when you take about automotive supply chains, so these original equipment manufacturers, whether it could be any vehicle manufacturer or whatever. So what they do is they run on very lean inventories. So what they do is they push all the inefficiencies to their tier one manufacturers. Now, this tier one manufacturer is one of the for him, it is one of the key challenge for him is the order fulfillment. Because when I did consulting for one of our tier one customer, so one of the major problem for him is he has a capacity, he has demand, he is unable to supply. He has a capacity and he has a demand, but he is messed up. So he is not able to meet that demand despite having capacity. It was very simple. It was very simple collaboration between the customer service department who take the orders and something, and then the production. There's very simple link that you have a visibility of your production capacities and also customer orders, solve the problem, and then the problem solved just within a couple of weeks, and they started seeing that the capacity utilization goes tremendously, maybe 20-30% more. So with a simple optimization concepts, process by process, you can make a tremendous improvements in the supply chain. So order fulfillment, as we talk about the customer centric strategies, customer order fulfillment, okay, and customer feedback, I think it's very important. Even if you are not getting a feedback, you should find a way how you do that. Exactly. I think that let's take up this topic. It's very interesting. It will never end actually when we start discussing in detail. So let us talk about the infrastructure of supply chain. Many times the problem comes is they have a good supply chain strategy, but they don't do enough investment in supply chain infrastructure or in logistics. What do you think the reason, Vivekji? So, why supply people don't take decision in supply chain and logistics similar to the manufacturing? So, if there is something in manufacturing, they are okay with that. Why they don't do in logistics and infrastructure
Yes.
development for supply?
I discussed this with the person who invented supply chain and management. I said, why? What was the need? He said, we saw three flows in supply chain. So we talked about the three flows, and we put our heads together, and we sat down and talked about three flows: flow of goods, flow of information, flow of money, flow of risks, and flow of ownership of goods through the supply chain. So basically, all these five flows have to flow together in consonance. You can't have goods flowing and information not flowing. Everything should move in synchronicity. If it doesn't move synchronously, and that's when the supply chain falls apart.
True.
And the reason supply chains suffer because the five flows of supply chain, people don't know about it, and they ignore the five flows, and they ignore how to make them move smoothly through the supply chain together. So the question you ask is basically information is not moving, or goods not moving, or money is not moving, and if there is some blockage somewhere in these five flows, supply chain falls apart. This is what happened during COVID. But you will see that if a company is suffering, the five flows are blocked, and you have to actually unblock. And that's why you need good systems are there for moving information. If you don't move them, then that's the problem. You have to use good system for moving information in the company.
Sheikh,
Yeah, yeah. Please, Alex.
we need to take into consideration also policies, because what is happening, we need to accept the situation where, unfortunately, supply chain was not always in the boardroom, like maybe marketing or finance or IT or legality. COVID have destroyed a lot of things and a lot of people. But on the maybe if there is one positive thing about it, if there is any one positive about it, it has put supply chain on top of the agenda, because before supply chain was not always in the boardroom. Okay, that's why I agree with Captain Vivek about the flows of all these five flows, that they have moved together, and there was a lot of blockage. And also with policies, it comes leadership, because you need, for example, now I was happy to witness that Saudi Arabia, if you allow me to share with you, I think it was the first country in the world. I'm not sure, but I think it was the first country in the world who have put a minister for logistics and transportation. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Why the West did not do the same thing? Why? It was, why?
That's a good question.
The,
That's a good
the
question.
West, the West was so much in advance in many things, where the East were looking at the West, but we think we know it all. In Europe, for example, we think we know it all, and we don't know nothing, because now the others have been following us, and they are much in advance in many things, you know, and poof, the business model have shifted now. Sorry, I don't want to go into this matter, but what I'm trying to tell you,
True.
even
That is
even if you organize your internal flows, okay, you still depend on policies, country
policies.
yeah country leadership, which makes good policies in place, which will allow these flows which Captain Vivek is mentioning, because can't do it on your own. No, you need policies which make sense. And for example, in Europe, unfortunately, with all respect, banks are not helping much the supply chain, unfortunately. are not helping at all. They are killing the small business, unfortunately. They are killing the small business. Okay, you can have some governments in different countries, maybe they have friendly use SMEs policies. Okay, it's true. It happens in my country, in Malta, where you have the government implementing SMEs policies, support systems, subsidies, anything that. But then, when it comes to the financial sector, I'm talking about banking, they are ruining everything, with all respect, ruining everything. And we know that most of the time, I would say 90%, maybe a bit less or a bit over, 90% of businesses across the world are SMEs, and these are the ones who are suffering.
Yes.
These
Yes.
are the
Yes.
ones who are suffering. And when you go and speak to them, like I did many times, to try to see what they are doing in the supply chain, if they have a unit or a people in place with the right attitude, skills, and most of the time, no. So unfortunately, that's why the supply chain suffer a lot at most of the
Mhm.
time, because
I think
even if your organization will implement all these points that yourself and captain is talking about, but then you have a bit of constraints and challenges from the external point, you know.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Actually, the regulations and the policies of the government plays a very important role. Uh, One example is if the traceability of the products insist as a policy of the government, it makes a big difference. Okay, so people go for now. I think people government is insisting to have like a proper warehouse management system because to have the traceability, so you need to have like a e-way bills for all transport operations. So e-invoicing, almost all developing countries and I think like Europe and United States, they might have it already everything in place. But the developing countries are just now they are going towards that. So that the policy change is makes a big impact on the whole wave of supply chain optimization across the country. Okay, so as you said rightly in Saudi Arabia. So when I was there, one of my colleagues was there. His name is Khalid Al Bakri. He was the deputy minister for postal logistics. Okay, so I was the supply chain planning vice president, and he was the vice president for logistics. So he became a deputy minister. I know the guy how he pushed, helping the government to implement the policies. So when I talked to him, I really it's amazing, as you said, Alex. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. That's great. So let's take some very interesting topic. Okay, so let us talk about this multimodal transportation. So I think we have different experiences here, Captain Vivek. He talk about marine and the transport. Alex can talk about the logistics, the train, and so let us talk about what is the role of this multimodal transportation in optimizing the global supply chain. So, Captain Vivek.
Okay, let's look at the challenge. You have to get goods from point A to point B. There's no one thing that you can put it on and in at point A and then get there in point B. It has to go through many modes. You have to put it on truck or something. Then you have to from truck you have to put it on the ship or put it on the plane, and then take it off the plane or ship. Again on the other side, you have to take it off the plane and put it on a truck and put it somewhere where you can deliver it to the receiver. So multimodal, very simple. The best way of getting goods from point A to point B to basically use two or three things: ship or truck or train. The most cost-effective way is use many modes of transportation. So whether it's ships or air or trucks or train, you mix and match to get the best
Mhm.
result. So we have advised our clients to change the supply chain in many different ways. Sometimes they have been taking the easiest way, and we have to actually go and advise them to change the way. Sometimes they never thought about shifting the
Exactly.
modes. So we had
Exactly.
to go and tell them that look, stop sending by train. Now you can change it to trucks to the port. So if you do that, you'll reach there faster to get the results.
That's great.
Basically,
Yeah. Please. Yeah.
we
I
have to
was so
look at what
excited.
the results you want. You want to reduce the cost, or you want to get the best timely results. So if you look at the KPI, so I want to talk about one thing which is called supply chain dashboard.
Mhm.
So once you have a dashboard, you know that you are measuring costs or time or timeliness, whatever is the KPI that you're worried about. You have to think of the best mode for getting the KPI result.
Mhm.
Multimodal is very important to get the right mode for the right leg of the transportation.
Very interesting, sir. I think you said very important point. So if you want to really optimize your costs and also you optimize your speed, okay. So
Yes.
you should not stick to very simple model or something. You need to go for multimodal, which is suitable for you. I think that's very important key takeaway. So people are now who feel comfortable with one or two modes of transport, they stick to it. Sometimes they ignore the big picture. So having a multimodal transport planned and executed effectively will reduce cost. That's very
It's very
important.
simple. It's very simple. Suppose you're going from your home to your office or to say another city, say Bangalore. So you say I'll take a taxi to airport and catch a plane. But you have another option. You can actually ask your son to drop you at a railway station to catch the train. Now, which one is better?
Exactly.
You have to decide.
That's true. That's true, sir.
There's an analogy. You can take
Mhm.
anything. You can take train or plane, or you can hail a truck if you
Yeah,
want. That's cheap. But
that's very
there are many ways
interesting.
of getting there. Yes.
I think, Alex, I think these emerging logistic hubs and trade zones now across the globe in almost all the countries. So they are introducing new logistic hubs and trade zones. Okay, so which to help organizations to do logistics better. So in this evolving infrastructure and same thing, how people adjust and how they get the benefit out of it. So, what is your experience in this, and what do you
Okay.
advise?
On a positive note, we have witnessed that many countries around the world have invested heavily in IT infrastructure at the aviation sector. Okay, a lot. We have seen airports expanding wherever you go. At least we have seen airports expanding, and also introduce new code areas and new route areas. So I believe even during COVID, that with the so much restrictions in place, the mobility did never stop. Okay, I mean it went a bit down, but still people, especially after COVID, the expansion of the aviation was of and sales of aviation was incredible. You know, so I think we have seen a lot of investment in aviation industry in terms of airports, including cargo, and in terms of infrastructure, and a lot of online platforms in terms of book your cargo, people, movement of people, movement of goods. In terms of hubs, yes, I believe many countries have introduced a lot of hubs across Europe and Middle, at least from where I am, from where I travel most of the time, Europe and Middle East. We have seen a lot. Most of the Middle East countries, I would say, most of them have invested heavily in these hubs and free zone areas. What is important now? What is important, because even in Dubai, for example, we suffered a lot about it, um, especially on pharmaceutical and food. Okay, what they need to do now, and they have been talking about it for many years. I've been in discussions through different seminars and government conferences, and they were trying to do it. That, for example, in Dubai, you have so many free zone areas, right? In UAE, so many free zones area. what they need to understand that between one free zone and the other, they need to recognize each other. So if you bring some commodities in Jebel Ali and you want to release them and you want to send them to Abu Dhabi, that the other free zone have to recognize, especially when you have a federal country, between different states. They need to recognize each other. This is very important. Once you clear your goods from one free zone and you want to shift it to another free zone, okay, into another federal, they need to recognize each other to make sure you don't waste time and the flow of goods, especially if it's medicine or food, because you have so much dates and budget number and so on. It needs to move quickly, especially in hot weather. So they need to work on it. They started to talk about it. At least they started to talk about it. Another important point is, in some countries, they are introducing rail systems. For example, I'm sure you are aware of it, that there is a big project happening in Middle East, and to tie up also Egypt, and North African, we call it Maghreb, and that is going to change the whole supply chain. Because, for example, from some countries to go to Saudi Arabia, you need to wait so much hours, and people are getting fed up, So railway could be a good positive contributor in moving things along without wasting time. But the guys needs to come together to make sure that there is a common goal, there is a common understanding, there is a clear policy which everyone can understand and can be implemented, and the private sector can feel much easier, much satisfied in investing in logistics hubs, because once you know how much it takes in terms of time to receive goods, release goods, dispatch goods, that makes it much easier for everyone, in terms of speed and the established cost to be able to move things around. That is very important. But now there is. I'm happy to say that I have witnessed a lot of investments in many areas in different countries. I think the one piece of puzzle which is missing is the policies, clear leadership and policies, which is needed. Because even from the allow me to say, if I look at it from the other part, even from the knowledge base situation of people trained in the industry, I think there are so many education providers across the world who have specialized programs to train people. So I don't think the industry is missing from educational institutions across the world. Okay, what we need is more a bit of clear policies, clear leadership, clear policies to flow goods more smooth and with established price, because you can't have business trading with one and another without knowing how much it will take to arrive from point A to point B and the established cost. That is a bit of a situation, the shipping industry. The shipping still is a bit challenge in that. The shipping industry is still a bit challenge in that. But anyway, they are doing their best. I'm sure they're doing their best.
That's great. One good move from government of India is they have introduced something called ULIP, so Unified Logistics Integration Platform. Okay, so that's earlier, I think around 19 ministries, they used to deal with all supply chain processes like invoicing, like e-way bills, like any others, like container track and trace. So there are different ministries for each one of it. and they have a different databases. You need to have a different username and password for different things. Now all these things are coming. They are bringing into one umbrella, ULIP. So that is fantastic. Actually, it's still not fully completed, but I can see that because we, as a part of ULIP partnership with Government of India, so that you bring everything related to the logistic movement into one umbrella, one portal, powered by the government. So that is amazing. So you don't have to really know everything. So you can have a track and trace. You can know the driver. You can know about everything through portal. Yeah.
Allow me to say, a few years ago, I brought a delegation from Italy, from Genova. Genova is a famous port, right, for Europe. It's a big port, you know, and
Yep.
they wanted to establish a warehouse hub in Malta, right? So we've done some studies, okay, and I brought them here. We went to see the site where to build the hub. We wanted to import fruit from Europe and packing and labeling in Malta, and then distribute it to the North Africa, you know, to the Maghreb, to Morocco and all the other countries. But my biggest challenge was when I try to speak to the high authority, I had to visit 5 ministers: Minister of Finance and Customs, Minister for Transport. Oh my God! I said, "What's this? What's this? This is ridiculous, you know, ridiculous." And after some years, and unfortunately, the project didn't go through because the banks didn't invested part of the deal for some reason, or because of the risk issue, the risk factor, which is for me was a bit stupid. But anyway, but then after some years, I was meeting the Prime Minister at that time, Dr. Muscat, and I told him, "What is this?" I told him, "This is ridiculous, you know. If you would like to attract foreign direct investment in Malta, and you want delegations to come and invest, you need one minister, one porting. Well, as you rightly said, that company will meet him, and everything will be clear, like you said, exactly. This is a case study, you know, was one particular case study."
So fantastic. I think let us take up the new topic, which is the collaborative supply chain networks, business networks. I think so. What is the importance of building supply chain business networks to help organizations to grow as a complete network of supply chain? I think this is very important now. Maybe last 3 years, we can hear very important topic called multi enterprise supply chain business networks. Okay, so not long maybe earlier it was not very popular, but now everybody is talking about multi enterprise supply chain business networks. So what do you think, sir, Captain Vivek? So how can we do that? So from
Okay, sure.
the international
I'll
point
jump
of
in
view.
because I started the term five-star business network.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So can you give a couple of minutes brief on that? How to build a supply chain business network?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
what
supply
is that?
chain is a network. It's a network of people who work with you to serve the same customer. So you need full collaboration from these people to create products, to get the product in their hand the best way at the lowest cost. So if they collaborate with you, if they work with you, if they help you create the product and get it in the hand of the customer, so that's the network we call it. Now, the best way how to create and run this network is in this book. Read the book.
Yeah.
I run a one-day workshop for people. So it's a corporate workshop. I go and run this for my clients, and I teach them how to create a five-star business network in their company with their suppliers and get the collaboration happening. You can't do anything without full collaboration of your suppliers. If you work at cross purposes, then suddenly that will ruin your business, unfortunately.
That's true, sir. Yeah.
It's,
So
it's like we are talking, three of us are talking. We don't contradict each other. We listen to each other with respect, and this is collaboration at work.
that's fantastic, sir. So
Yes.
now when you talk about supply chain networks, when you talk about the in practical utilization, maybe for a layman or something, so there are
Yeah.
different topics which are become very popular, like Walmart kind of things, like a CPF or collaborative planning and forecasting and replenishment. You talk about vendor managed inventory. You talk about many other concepts started these business networks. Now people how they are operating is I see the trend is going towards 4PL, fourth party logistics. Now they are eliminating the intermediaries and then enabling smooth flow of goods from the supplier to the end customer seamlessly. So earlier it was there were a lot of hubs in supply chain, so they were disconnected. Okay, so now the 4PL, maybe 5PL operators are working to close these gaps to make it seamless flow. Okay, this is
Yes.
the trend. What is going on at the moment? Okay, everywhere
Yes.
across the globe.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Alice was telling about his experience about Hubble spoke, I didn't jump in. I wanted to, because I did the project for that in North America for one of my clients. They had 92 locations where they were supplying the goods from, and they had seven factories and 92 stocking locations. And things were going like this. From seven factories to 92 factories, we created hubs. We had to create hubs. So there was no cross channels. And suddenly a lot of money wasted got saved. So company saves $35 million a year as a result. So
Mhm.
that's the best way to create hub and spoke model, and to optimize the hub and spoke model. A
Yeah.
lot of money can
So
be
I think
saved. Hmm.
yeah. So this is very interesting. We have a few questions also. We'll take it up. I think after this, uh, when you do the whole supply chain optimization, the optimization models play a key role. Whether it could be a least square, or linear programming, or whatever, you know. So these models earlier it was only theoretical. So now, or maybe the best of the best supply chain companies they were using that earlier. But now, I think with the invent of all the modern the concepts, the solutions, so we are also from our side also we are also introducing optimization, supply chain optimization models, which are available for any supply chain companies. They can optimize their supply chains right from the milk distribution, like from the fruit distributions, vegetable distribution, or any
Yes.
other supply chain things. So introducing these concepts also helping. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah. So I think let us take one question because we have some question here. So let me talk about it. So
Yes.
because I know until if you wait until the end, we will miss it. Okay. So one question, Hani Ahmad. So what is the best way to get the customer feedbacks? So that was the question I think we discussed in the first topic. So how to get the customer feedbacks? Just very crisp in retail, in manufacturing, business to business. Okay, so how do you do that? So very important because it's not only about retail. Okay,
Yes.
you talk about B2B, you talk about international customers,
Okay.
services customers. So how do you think, sir? What is the best way to get customer feedbacks? Alex?
It's a
I
very
think,
good question.
yeah, I think nowadays the modern way of taking feedback from your customers is on your mobile with an app. Many companies have created apps where you can just go on the app, put your comment, and the one who's receiving it from the retail point of view must make sure that someone is replying in time with the right answer, and there is action on that. If the point is valid, there should be an action and a response, and the customer will be updated. There will be visibility for the client to make sure that the one who's sending suggestions or recommendations is having feedback. But the most convenient way is through an app where you can download when the software companies have created apps where you put your comment, the comment is received, there is established time where you get a response, and someone is following. It's very important. And there is action. Action is very important, because if the customer doesn't see action, what's the use of having all this?
Can I say something? The best way to
Yeah,
get
please.
feedback is to go and talk to the customer. I know I have clients of mine. The CEO goes out to CEO of the customer company, sits with him for half an hour and says, "Hey, how are we doing? What did we do wrong? Tell us.
They
How can
appreciate
we
it.
do better?"
Yeah. I
So
agree
this
with you.
is
Ask them.
the customer feedback immediately after you complete it. So take as early as possible feedback, because
Yes.
if you
Yes.
delay you taking feedback, what happens? There may be something in between. Maybe he forgot, or he don't experience. Maybe he just is with. Maybe there is something else. Some other problem is there. So try to take feedback from customer as early as possible. The moment you finish your delivery, or the moment you finish your service, whatever. So try to take as quickly as possible. And sometimes if you don't get feedback, that's not a problem, because in retail you will not get it. You try to inform somehow. So you at least you selectively you invest time. So those some customers want to give in feedback. By the way, they love to give feedback. So
Ask them.
take their inputs. Some people are there in hurry. Or for example, I don't want to share my mobile number in the counter. Okay. So, but I'm happy to give my feedback. Okay. So that's you need to train your point of sale guys how to take customers in case of retail. Okay. So that's the best point. Where you get the feedback. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So we have.
please share
Uh,
my mobile number or my email. So I'm happy to get feedback from people who are in this context.
Okay, so we have a question about sustainability. Sustainability is we talk about next topic, and then we have something about last mile delivery. Maybe you can take up this question because it's very interesting. One question from Jayshankar is: what are the key challenges of last mile delivery in densely populated urban areas with high labor costs like those in USA and Australia? Okay. For instance, in India, the Blinkit is one of the company. I think it's a Blinkit is from Zomato. So they are offering grocery in 15-minute delivery. Okay, somebody like Amazon and others also is not able to cope up with that kind of speed. It has its own challenges. By the way. Yes, it's a 10-minute delivery, but it has its own challenges. You are killing somebody there. Okay, let us not talk about the negative part of it, but the positive part of it is it is happening, by the way. Okay, so what do you think? Why these USA and Australian companies are not able to do that? I don't know whether it is true or false, but can you say both of you can give a comment on this? Yeah.
I think there are some companies which are using drones nowadays, to avoid
It is.
to
Yeah.
avoid congestion and high density populations and streets, because unfortunately, wherever you go, the populations have increased and traffic has increased, and it's becoming very hectic to go from one point to another. It's true. Wherever you go, it's not a matter of India or UK or Malta. Wherever UK, the populations have increased a lot, and the traffic is crazy. It's crazy. So what they did is they have introduced drones to deliver these kind of things, or else they can create different spots around the city where you can have different outlets around the city where you can reach customers much quicker. Depends on the product, depends on the consumable item or food, whatever you're doing, because it's also there's an investment behind it, right? But many companies, what they are doing, different spots around the city, especially if it's a vast chain of food or something. Mhm, mhm.
Perfect, sir. I think let us. It's very interesting topic. We have. Let us talk something about supply sustainability.
Sheikh,
And
sorry, Sheikh, sorry. I
you
don't
have any
know.
point?
Yes, just to add one. for example, nowadays there is another point which was introduced in the States a couple of years ago in Washington, where most of the people nowadays, right, especially most of the people work. You can't stay at home anymore now. Now you have to work either online. You have to work some way. Either you work from home, either you work from your workplace, but you have to work. You can't
Mhm.
both
You
male
cannot
and
be idle.
yeah. There is no male and female now. It's all of us,
Ah,
all. So what is happening now, for example, now even in some small groceries, small shops, you don't find cashiers anymore because download the app in your mobile. Once you got into the shop, that app trigger with with the system, and anything that you either pick from the shelf, okay, it's triggered on your mobile with the cost. Once you go out, that amount of money will be deleted from your full amount. So companies like Tesco, for example, they have reduced even the cashiers. You don't need to wait in a queue to put your shopping. Just anytime you
make it
pick
easy.
something, it trigger. So there's so much investments now in the last I would say 20 years.
Information.
Oh, yeah, so much, so much.
Perfect, sir. I think and I think it will keep on increasing. Maybe with generative AI, it will be more innovative in that part of the world. I think in the supply chain, the majority of innovation starts with retail, whether we like it or not. Okay,
Yes.
because it's a direct touch with customer. That's where the primary innovation will start. At least it will, of course, eventually it will move through the entire supply chain. There is no question about it. So let us
True.
talk about very important topics, sir. The sustainability and the green supply chains. Okay, I know Captain Vivek, he wrote a book on green supply chains, and he talk about more about this. Okay, so now even we talk about sustainability every day. I think we hear like environmental, social, and governance (ESG). And primarily, yes, ESG started with manufacturing to start with, and of course with the transportation. Okay. So what do you think about sustainability and green supply chains? How can we do the implementation of this, like implementing like a circular economy principles to reduce waste kind of thing? Okay, utilize renewable
These are
energy.
my thoughts.
Yeah. Can you
What I
just
noticed, there's a
talk
lot of
about the
lip
sustainability?
service.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
noticed a lot of lip service. I noticed lot of possibility. People just don't care too much.
Exactly.
So so many companies I see waste the opportunity to save the planet. They just worry about dollars and they don't invest money to actually be green. There's a lot of I wrote in the book. It's called greenwashing. So there's a
Mhm.
whole chapter in the book called greenwashing. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of lip service and greenwashing happening. And I will stop here. I don't want to jump on the podium. I don't want
Yeah,
to go to manifesto, right? The book name
yeah,
is
that is true, sir. That is true.
yeah,
But the regulation and policy
yeah,
will enforce this. Okay, you have if government is insisting for some kind of ESG governance
yes,
policies, it's sir. There is a point here. Now, yeah, companies don't want to do that. Okay, but the problem is the investors who want to invest in their companies, they want this. Okay, for whatever reason. Okay, because want to invest in companies where they're very good in ESG practices kind of thing. Because in future ESG is going to come anyways, whether we like it or not. Okay, so how to do that, Alex? You have any thoughts on this and sustainability and green supply chains? Mhm.
It's a huge challenge, no? It's a huge challenge for every company, but as I agree with you that many of them they want to implement it because you have to look at long term, not short term. So yeah, I agree with and I think I believe even now with the new regulations in place, those new startups which want to start a new business in the supply chain and logistics, the environment and the green logistics is becoming mandatory in one of the criteria they have in the checklist. They have to do in the implementation process. So I think even governments now, most of them, they have adopted this condition, especially on startups. But still, there is a lot of challenges. Still a lot of
It's long way
challenges.
to go.
Still a lot of
Long way to
challenges.
go.
Yeah,
Long way to go.
there are few companies who are benchmark. You look at them; they have adopted very good example how to have a green supply chain, like many free carbon and so many less paper where there is no paperless, so many things,
Mhm.
but still has some challenges on it, still some challenges.
Yeah. So I think that even supply chains are now that many companies now we hear about circular supply chain where they want to reduce the waste, they want to maximize utilization of the reusable parts. Okay, so that only very bare minimum minimal amount of waste is there. Okay, especially when you talk about electronics manufacturing like mobile. Okay, so we recently had one. We interacted with one company from Europe. Okay, I don't recall the name, but what they do is they just rent out all the mobile phones. They don't sell. Okay, of course they give it for a reasonable price and then they take back maybe after a year or two. Okay, and then they just do the reprocessing of it, and maybe they do whatever. Okay, so they are trying to do some circular supply chain processes. With that, you have an option to reduce the waste in supply chain, and of course, it's a part of supply the sustainability overall. We talk about. I think there is something. You hear something like this, Alex, Captain Sir, uh, how these circular supply chains work very quickly.
Yes. There's a lot of talk about circular supply chains. Many examples. I was watching a video on YouTube how in Pakistan they're taking engines apart and
Mhm.
manufacturing engines for cars. And these are broken down engines where the pistons are totally damaged or the piston liners are damaged. And they have found a way to remanufacture these engines and fit them back in the car. So these are popular because they do last better than the original engines. So
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
uh, there are many ways
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
my book.
even
It
maybe
is
the circular supply chains, maybe they are doing it by design. Okay, so now when we do it, so
yes,
you keep the reduction of the waste in your mind. So you do it by design. It's not by like maybe what the example is like a way. Of course, they are more innovative in doing that. Of course, or maybe it's a capability or their skill in that. But companies are now doing it by design. Okay. So any advice on this in sustainability? Otherwise, we go to the new topic, which is I think you guys need to answer it. I cannot answer. Yeah. So if you don't have any more on sustainability, okay. So the question was from Alberto. I think
my
if I
main
take
point is make environment a priority.
yeah. So what is the role of sustainability in supply chain management? That was the question from Alberto. Mhm. Okay. So, any quick thoughts on this so that we'll go take up the new topic? Yeah.
Um, I think, like any other business, we all know that it's not a matter of establishing something, but the,
So
the,
I'll
the
answer
whole
this
point,
question this way. So
sustainability.
what's the question is this saying what's the current role or what should be the
What
role
is
of
the role of sustainability? Yeah. What is it? Maybe it's
it
what
should
is
be
the role of
paramount.
supply
It is
chain?
not it should be paramount, it should be number one. But it's not at the moment.
It's very important. The
Yes.
sustainability in
Very
supply
important.
chain is very, very important. It
Yes,
cannot be
yes.
ignored. I think, in my opinion, when you are doing supply chain strategy, for any organization or doing a strategy refresh. Okay, keep this
That's why I told
sustainability
about an action and manifesto.
in mind.
Supply
You
chain.
just don't. So
Yeah.
what we do usually is you do everything and then finally you touch up on the sustainability. You don't do that. So you
Yes.
consider sustainability from the beginning so that you really take care of it instead of
Yes.
just
Yes.
like lip service. You really do that. That is something we talk about. Sir, next very important topic. I cannot hold this because we have limited time. Supply chain financing. Okay, so that is something very interesting topic.
This is a
Now
different difficult topic because
it's a complete different topic. I think I know. I'm not very. Uh, it's very complicated topic, by the way. Okay, so what do you think, sir? So let us take supply chain finance. So access to trade finance and working capital solutions, utilizing supply
Can I
chain
answer this
finance
one?
to support SMEs. So
Yeah.
as you said, sir, I'll come to that. So SMEs, the small and mid-sized enterprises, so they need a lot of capital needs. So they have a very good business model, they have functioning supply chain, but they have a capital problems. So there is some technology leveraging the technology for this streamlining financing problem. So how do you think supply chain financing take place in future? And it is very challenging. Yes, sir, Captain.
So my view is money is like grease. It greases the wheels for supply chain around the world. The moment money disappears, then the supply chains stop. They jam. So we are very concerned about this. So I'm hoping that global financial system keeps working. That suddenly uh, IMF doesn't dissolve. If that happens, if there is a financial crisis, supply chains will fall apart. So basically, the question is very simple. The flow of money is one of the five flows, big flows of supply chain, and all the five flows should move in parallel to each other. If that doesn't happen, suddenly supply chain falls apart. So flow of money
Mhm.
is very paramount. That's
That is
what
true,
is,
sir.
yeah.
Yeah. Rightly said. I just to add one more point here. When organization has a financial problem or financial crisis, okay, so usually they look at supply chain to reduce costs. Okay, so sometimes they reduce investments and costs in supply chain to a such level that you take a problem. It will become a problem for you. And if this happens to whole supply chain, then the penalty is to the end customers. The price of the products get increased. Okay, and everything the supply becomes problem, that it's not available, product availability is a problem, the cost is a problem, and then the end consumer really ends up in a problem. Okay,
Yes,
so
there are
as you
better
said,
ways of solving the problem. They don't use the better
yeah,
ways.
so supply chain finance the robust finance flows in supply chain is very important. Okay, so
Yes.
Alex, there are some companies who do that. Like if you have a working capital financing, okay, if you have good orders, how this work? You have any ideas how these supply chain finance companies work? Mhm.
Look, I've done some research on this topic, to be honest, because it's a very hot topic, and it's difficult to see how many policies are in place. But what I did find is this: buyers. It seems like it works like this way. Buyers agree to approve their suppliers' invoices for financing by a bank or another financier, often referred to as a factor. This proves the short-term credit that optimize working capital and offers liquidation to both parties. Suppliers gain quicker access to money and are owned, while buyers get more time to pay off their balances. It's a bit of a collaboration agreement, what I would call it, between the buyer and the supplier. So, but as I said earlier, because I spoke about SMEs before, right? That the situation is getting a bit challenging from the banks. Okay, they need to adopt more clear policies for SMEs. because SMEs are facing huge challenges for cash, and nowadays everyone needs to get paid straight away, etc. Um, so it's not easy. It's not an easy situation for the SMEs, especially for the SMEs.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. That's great, sir. I think supply chain finance is one of the key area where there is a lot of research going on. I think people are going towards that with some innovative solutions. Okay, so we hope that the supply chain organizations get benefit out of it, especially mid-sized, smaller organizations. Okay,
Um,
so
I, I don't know, but in Malta, for example, in Malta, the many like some countries, the government have established the investment bank. You know, so what they did, they collect part of the money that the government generates, from the tax and
mhm,
NI and from the same business, you know, the tax from the same business, they have invested in a bank, and the same bank is helping also some businesses. So it's a cycle, you know, and that is a very good policy. Because if you don't create this kind of financial support, especially for SMEs, which I told you is almost 90% of the industry of the GDP, you will have problems. And if you kill ideas and innovation, what
mhm,
SMEs you will have? So you need to find the ways and means how to support the SMEs.
mhm. Perfect, sir. Yeah. So let me, because there are some very important topics. The next topic, what we talk about is the global trade and regulatory compliance. Okay,
Mm.
sir. How this is very important. Global trade management has tremendously improved a lot. Okay, because of introduction of new systems, new policies, new processes, and compliances. I think largely the processes are simplified. Unlike before, there are so many templates need to be filled for custom clearances and all those stuff. Now, I think there is a lot of improvement in that, but there is still a lot of things to be done. So, in your opinion, to improve global trade and regulatory compliance, so how does that? What is the best way to so the key challenge here, sir, many companies don't understand this. Okay, especially mid-sized organizations, they don't understand, so they depend somewhere with a consultant or whatever in their global trade requirements. So what do you think? So what is the best way to help organizations in this area for the global trade and compliance, Captain, sir?
The best way to identify the barriers to trade. So there are many barriers. There can be some barriers like custom procedures or custom costs or
Mhm.
processes, and you can streamline the process and reduce the cost. So once you identify the barrier, then remove the barrier. So I delivered a speech once for I'm just coming to my mind. In Melbourne, there was APEC Business Forum. So about 80 country people came for identified the barrier. So we talked about what are the barriers. Let's talk about them. So the businesses come to the forum with their problems in trade. So they identify the barriers, and then they talk about they got commitment from the minister to remove the barriers. In this forum, ministers undertook to remove the barriers in their country. There can be many legitimate or non-legitimate barriers. So you can make the process very convoluted, make it so hard to get a permit to get imports or exports. Unfortunately, in many countries, that's the case.
That's true.
And the bureaucracy can sometimes make it more complicated to get some money out of the importer and exporter. I
That is
won't
true,
say
sir.
in the countries,
So
but these barriers.
actually, yeah. So what you advise is you need to have a proper strategies for
Yes,
managing your tariffs and trade barriers. So
yes,
identify trade barrier and then
Yes.
highlight to appropriate authority, whoever is doing.
Yes.
If they can solve it, I think the majority of the problems will be solved. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is where I think the third-party logistics providers who take care of that intermediary requirements play a key role, especially in global trade. So, what do you think, Alex? So, what is the role of third-party logistics provider in the global trade and regulatory compliance?
Nowadays, most of the 3PL companies, they have their own associations where they can voice their challenges, both in different modes of transport, and this consolidating voice can reach the government, and the government then can understand the situation. And as Captain said, there can obviously start releasing these barriers and make it more smooth for trading. I have seen it. I have seen this in Dubai, for example. I'm talking a real situation where in 2008, I believe, 2008, um, 2008 or 9, I don't remember, where we were called in Jumeirah, the DED, Department of Economic Development at that time, they have taken the initiative to call the 3PL companies and other players, and they wanted to listen from us what are the challenges in the market. And I remember, because at that time the new Maktoum airport was going to open, and they opened the gate, a corridor from Terminal 2 to Maktoum Airport, which is very good. You bring goods by sea and dispatch them by air, which is good, and you don't need to pay nothing, just straightforward. And this is very important, that nowadays you have structures like the Chamber of Commerce in every country or in every region, where the 3PL companies can come together through their voice. They made their voice, and then that consolidating voice can reach the government, and the governments have to listen from these guys, because these guys are the ones who move things around. You rightly said, 3PL plays an important role. They are the guys who moves around. If you don't listen to these guys, to whom you're going to listen? So you need to listen to them. You need to listen, okay, and understand what's going on. Sitting after a desk, you're not going to do nothing. You need to go outreach, and listen to them, and start implementing, which makes sense for the industry, because industry is changing all the time. The industry is evolving all the time. So you need to have policies which are friendly use, make sense, fit for purpose.
It's very important. Yeah. So third-party logistics provide a very important
Yes, yes, yes,
role.
yes, yes,
Okay. Yeah. I think majority of governments now, they are doing a lot of training courses for the companies. They are
yes,
offering
yes,
some kind of trainings,
yes.
because I think in global trade management, I think its awareness is one of the most important thing. So there are, even if there is a process introduced by government, so communicating to all the stakeholders, that is very important. So no matter how much you do it, it's still is not enough. So you need to do more. Yeah.
You know what I like? You know what I like? And even in Dubai, most of my friends are from India, no? In Dubai, most of the logistics industry is managed by guys from India, you know that. And I do have hundreds of friends because I've been there. I've been there almost 22 years. So can you imagine my network and my friends there, huh? Really good friends, huh? and
Mhm.
and and the good thing, we laugh together in the evening when we're having maybe a coffee and a shisha, and we laugh because when the Maktoum in Dubai do something, the others will follow him. And this is good competition, because competition brings your country on the edge.
Yes,
It's
yes.
very good. It's very good. That is what is, when you have competition and they want to compete in their road model, and they want to implement friendly use measures to attract business, and it's very easy to open bank accounts and to have a license. Yeah, that is very good. It's very good. And this is the
Yeah.
situation right now in the Middle East, by the way. This is the
Yes,
situation.
true. That is true.
You have couple of companies who are in pole position, like Formula One. They want to compete with each other, and this is healthy. This is healthy.
So one of our client, who is a third-party logistics provider in Mumbai, so now he opened business in Dubai. Okay, so he's using our warehouse management system.
Yeah.
So now he's happy. He's very happy there actually.
Yes,
In
yes,
Dubai,
yes,
he's
yes.
saying that it's a little expensive to establish a business,
Yes.
but once you establish,
That's it.
fits
You can
fantastic.
go. Yes, you can
Yeah.
go. Yes, it is expensive. I have to admit that. But the policies are extremely friendly use now. Extremely friendly use. Very.
That's
In
great.
7 days, in 7 or 8 days, without doing any marketing, you can establish everything in 7 8 days. Have the license, open the bank account,
Nice.
your visa, insurance, everything.
Everything
That's
will
it.
come.
Yeah. And now
Every-
Saudi is following, and the others are following. Let's do it. Do it, man. Do it.
Yeah. So everything will work in the portal. So all you need to do is
Yeah.
just log in into portal and do it, and then you have a virtual assistant who can do it for you. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
What is happening is this: in the previous years, in Europe was that way. In Europe was that way. Now it has changed. Now in Europe,
Yeah. Now Europe is
it's
complicated.
becoming more difficult. It's more bureaucratic. Anyway. Long
That's
story.
good.
It's a long story.
Good, sir. Yeah. So now let's talk a very important topic because we have 30 minutes time left. Okay. So let us talk about something on resilience and risk management. Okay. So it's very important. You talk about supply chain and you don't talk about risk.
Excuse me for a minute.
Yeah. Talk about supply chain and you don't talk about resilience and supply risk management. That is not going to happen. So whenever you talk about supply chain, there is a risk involved. Okay. So the risk management starts from identifying multiple sources. Even in the procurement, identify the multiple source from where you want to get the products for your company, either if it is a manufacturing or whatever. Okay. So creating a contingency plan, maybe some sort of scenario planning kind of thing. Okay. Then do some sort of risk management with your suppliers. I think this is something which is very, very important, Captain Saab. You travel across the globe, over 200 ports. So what do you think? So how does that risk management evolve over a period of time? So what is the current challenges for risk and resilience? And what is your advice for the companies?
My advice is very simple. Have alternative sources, have plan B. For everything, have a plan B. So if plan A doesn't happen, what is your plan B? Have an alternative. So have something to fall back on. So if that doesn't work, what happens? Always have a plan B and always be ready to trigger plan B whenever you need to. Somebody
Yeah.
gets COVID and drops out, no problem. Gets somebody else.
So Alex, we miss you. We talk about resilience and risk management. Okay. So having multiple sourcing for your materials or services or whatever you do it, and having a proper scenario planning and contingency planning is very critical to reduce,
Yes.
to make your supply chain resilient and also to reduce risk, because risk management and supply chain management go hand in hand. Because if we see a very big accident in any particular highway, it will disturb the whole traffic, and then you end up in a big distortion in supply.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a it's very important. So what do you think about how can the companies improve risk management in supply chains?
One of the biggest mistakes that companies do when the good weather is on, they move along, and they never think that something might happen along the way. And this is what I always tell them: don't rely always on the good weather, because there is always rain coming, and you have to work in the mud, always. So make sure that there is, as the captain said, you have always plan B in place. But unfortunately, sometimes they don't think about it. And plan B, I totally agree with, which is logical. Plan B should be in place always. Always have alternative routes, alternative options. Always don't rely, even if in the short term you rely on single source or single supplier or single or two suppliers, but always look, spend, take percentage of your time on supply chain percentage, like at least 5% or more, 5 to 10%, and dedicate it on research. If this goes wrong, do I have other option? So invest 5% or more, okay, on research to make sure that if plan A is not working, and plan B can be in place, and you don't give shocks to your organization and to your clients.
That's a very good point.
Very good
Always,
point.
Don't give
have a
shocks.
cost factor for the risk management.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's
Unfortunately, they suffer on it. They suffer.
In-
Right now, if you allow me, I'm doing a training for a local company involving Adidas products, sportswear, and I'm doing training. And part of the training, I don't use the traditional things in training. I'm too old now. Most of the time, I open for discussion. I open for discussion because if you have guys on board who are experienced, they don't want to listen to traditional things. They want to know what is the answer for the problem. And last week, not this week, last week, I brought the HR inside the room, manager, and I told her we need to organize a supply chain group. She told me, what? Supply chain group. And she told me, what's the purpose? The purpose because you are moving fast in your fast world of fashion, moving fast. But in this building, no one has ever sit down and think what is going to happen tomorrow. So what's going to be the answer? And what most of the time, when there is a crisis, everyone points fingers on each other. It not should be that way. It should be, boom, we have plan B. Let's move to plan B. That's it.
That's very important, sir. You both rightly said it's a very important. So you need to have an alternative sources and you need
Of
to have a
course,
plan B.
of course.
And Alex, as you rightly said, you need to invest time. Plan B will not come from out of sky. You need to invest on it.
No.
Okay. So the moment, especially, I think that's a key role of the senior managers, right? So especially when you're talking about vice presidents, supply chain, or general manager supply chain, or director supply chain, that's what you do it basically, right? Okay, so there are some operational managers. They have they are there to do firefighting and whatever. But as a head of strategy, you need to think about the risk of in supply chain, and then you need to have a very clear scenario planning. Maybe plan C also. If it is a plan B and maybe plan C, and it is not only enough to do the plan B kind of thing, and you build a culture also. Okay, so almost always think about sustainability and risk management in your operations. So you don't the people even at the multiple levels also, they know how to maneuver the things and then make the things done, make their job done. It could be a delivery, or it could be a production, or it could be whatever. Okay, and when you are operating in a longer supply chains, it will be more important, especially when you are depending something on imports, where the lead time exceeds like 60 days, 90 days kind of thing. And if you don't have a proper risk management, you will always end up in a problem. So people think that making a larger order quantity and then bring them, and then it is sufficient for next 3 months. People think that is the best way because you save a lot of money there. But what happens if this shipment is in trouble for whatever reason? So think about having a simpler, smaller quantity shipments, and then reduce the shocks, as Alex said. I think that's very important point. I think let us talk a very favorite topic of all, technology. Okay, so without technology, I think that is something which there is another very important topic left. but that I kept it deliberately to the end because that is the most important. Okay, so technology, there are two things. One is the digital transformation of your supply chains, and then when you talk about digital transformation of supply chains, you talk about all the systems involved in supply chain, whether it could be enterprise resource planning, or it could be a warehouse management system, or it could be a fleet management, a global trade management. It could be track and trace. It could be the scanning, barcoding, IoT devices, anything. Okay, so all these things. The thing is, bits and pieces, yes, everything is there. The question is how these things work together to make your company a competitive advantage. That's what matters. Okay. Now let us talk about this. So technology integrations and interoperability. So what do you think, Alex? So in your perspective, so how does that
Okay.
operational systems, and then what is the future? So what is your advice?
Okay, I prepared something on this because you need
One
to
more
talk.
question for you. I think you can take up this question also along with that.
Okay.
Especially in developing countries, investing in these systems, especially in warehousing, fleet management, okay, or global trade management or whatever, they think this is an expense. Still, they think that this is an expense. This is not. They're not thinking this as an asset investment. Okay, so how does that you really achieve a digital transformation in supply chain industries as a companies? Alex, over to you.
I look. I think if they see it as investment or not, they have to invest on it. But if you ask me personally, at least from two different regions in Europe, South Europe countries, and Middle East, I don't think there is any problem on IT because if I mention two kind of systems, I'm talking about ERP and WMS. In the Middle East, these kind of systems were so implemented. So implemented. If you look at, for example, two major of ERP systems like Oracle and SAP, they have dominated the area, the Middle East area, all from one corner to another. They are in pole position all the time, either Oracle or SAP. And there is the small companies who adopt the WMS because there are so many companies which offer WMS. When then you need to integrate it with a financial system, you need to interface it with a financial system. But I don't think there is any issue with that because they know that to be able to take decisions on numbers can be everything. Numbers can be people, numbers can be stocks, numbers can be financial figures. They need to have a system in place where you need to push a button and suddenly you have a dashboard in front of you telling you what is the situation with those numbers and also the forecast for tomorrow. So to be able to that, you need a system in place. But I don't think there is any issue in this program. And even the government, where usually governments are late in implementing, no, governments now are in the forefront also to adopting this kind of systems to make sure they are calling it even 20 years ago, not now, 20 years ago, maybe more. They're calling it e-government, where they have implemented the e-government systems. Even in Malta, it was more than 20 years ago, or in Dubai, more than 20 years ago. So these things now are evolving, and the question is what is going to be next, not by implementing. So I don't think you can't work without it because even if you are a 3PL company and you are offering for example, Sheikh, you know that in Dubai, for example, the 3PL business is so harsh, so competitive. The question is, what are you going to offer different from the others? It could be cost, it could be level of response, and one of them could be visibility. So to be able to offer visibility to your clients, so they can go online and see what they have in stock, etc., you need to invest in a good system, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's a great point. Okay, so now I also uh, 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 tell my friends in India and in supply chain friends, guys, investing in warehousing, fleet management, and the transportation, it's a really an investment. It's not expense. You have to do it today or tomorrow, but you are not going to escape from that. So it's basically, in the warehouse management system, even we have a warehouse management system. So one of the most important thing is the visibility of inventory. So utilize the capacity, visibility basically, and then the accuracy of the data, the customer visibility. He can see his part of the inventory, especially for 3PL operators. Then suppliers, they can see their inventory, okay, and through the portal kind of thing. So that's very important. Now they cannot escape from this, okay. So this is something which is very, very important. Yeah.
It's
So
very simple. You want results, you need technology. If you don't want to invest in technology, you want to get results.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very simple.
It will become I think we need to invest, they need to invest in technology, because
Yes.
you cannot do all the investment in one shot. It's not possible. You need to do it regularly. So keep
Yeah.
continuously do it, and make sure that it is optimized over a period
Yeah.
of time. And it will not happen suddenly. That now people are, now the very advanced organizations like Amazon or something, they are using very completely warehouse execution systems. Okay, so it's completely robotics controlled execution systems, completely integrated without people involved. Okay, so there are many things. So not all the companies can afford that, having that, but it's very possible that you do. It's a good that we are also offering supply chain solutions, warehousing, transportation, and
Yeah.
fleet
If you
management.
can't afford it, then you won't get the results. You have
You
to live
didn't
with
get that. So
old
that is a key
technology.
takeaway.
Um, Sheikh, there is a situation where if you have a company which is suffering from cash flow, okay, software companies, what they did, okay, they have went into partnership with them. How?
Mhm,
They
mhm.
said, okay, we will install the system, okay. You don't need to buy it; just it belongs to us, and you pay along the way. There's no need to buy it. It belongs to us. The license stay with us. That's a partnership. It's win-win for
Mm.
both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's good, you know.
That's better, because it's when you talk about supply chain, it's all about having a lean supply chain. So investment is always a challenge. So the supplier of the system or the implementer, they need to be aligned with the business. So it's more about like a partnership in that. So I see that even the software is also like some sort of 3PL for them. Okay, so you come and help them, and then we work together and grow. So that's how it is. Okay, so I think that's very important discussion, sir. Now we talk about talent management and
Ah,
workforce development. I think
give,
that's very interesting. I kept it at the end. The reason is it's very important.
give me
Now,
the show now. Give me the show.
yeah, it's very important before. So to do all this, you talk about sustainability, you talk about technology, you talk about risk management, you talk about compliance. Everything is done by people. So if the people don't know what it is, so all these are nice talks only. So you cannot do anything. So now, how can we make sure that the supply chain is given a priority from the education point of view? From the practical education, it's not about the theoretical. So from practical education point of view, and what is the roadmap for the global supply chain companies to close this gap, especially in the talent? So I think it's up to you,
Okay.
sir. We have
Let me tell you.
Yeah,
First thing,
please do.
we go in, we do a diagnostic very quickly. We give them a scorecard. We said this is out of on these 10 measures, you are 5 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. So the question from the company will be, how do you go from 3 to 5? You want to get to 5 out of 5. I said, okay, we can run a workshop to make it that way. So we do training wherever the weakness. we do training in supply chain workshops.
So basically, assessing the skill gap for the key
Yes.
supply chain people
Yes.
is one of the key area. Okay. I think again here it is not a expense; it's an investment. So you need to have the right people to invest. Okay. So you need to have the right people to invest in this. So that we need to have a right process to explore what are the gaps.
Yes.
Okay, and then you need to find a right roadmap for them to close the gap. So it is something that's very important. It's not something a one-time job. You need a continuous things because there are so many things they need to learn and they keep learning. But Alex, what I see is, especially maybe in India and this part of the, so people don't spend enough time, they don't invest a lot. Organizations in supply chain education. So what do you think? What is your take?
I don't agree with you. Sorry about this, but I don't agree with you totally, and I will tell you why. E- e- um, okay, let me divide my discussion on two levels. First, big corporates, big corporates have invested in, for example, if you take big 3PL companies, okay, like couriers, DHL, UPS, and the GAC in Dubai, they have their own training center in the company. Even, for example, what's his name? This big company in Dubai, the big Toyota, what's his name? The family business, Al Futtaim. Al Futtaim have their own training center in Dubai, which covers all the areas, even in logistics. So what I'm trying to say is there are companies who realize, not now, but some time ago, that to sustain their workforce, to reduce the high level of staff turnover, they have invested heavily in their training center, and they do have their own internal trainers, and they do bring trainers from outside as well to have a mix. Because it happens to me that I'm invited by different companies to go and put some salt and pepper on the rest of the cake, on the rest of the burger. So yes, it happens. Um, it comes also from the other side that every person needs to invest a bit on himself to keep himself updated, especially
Yes.
about research, and there is no excuse nowadays because on the internet now you can have so much information going on, so much and best practice and books and papers, etc. But let me tell you what has happened in Dubai, for example, in the recent years. In Dubai, there was in the early 2000, there was a number of universities who have established themselves offering undergraduate and postgraduate programs in the field of transport, logistics, and supply chain, right? And many others, especially in the academic city, because first we have the knowledge city, and then they moved them to academic city, most of them. But now on a federal level, I'm talking now, not on a UAE, not on a Dubai level, on federal level as a ministry, because I have attended a meeting by coincidence about this, and they were telling me they want to see more vocational institutions and professional institutions at the operational level, because if you see if you take a 3PL model, I mean you can correct me on this, but if you see a 3PL model, where is the mass of the people? Where is the mass? Is in the operation, right or not?
It's operation. Yep.
So operation, we're talking about level 5 diploma, operations management. So this is where most training is needed. This is more where most training is needed. And this is not undergraduate or postgraduate, with all respect to
No.
academia. This is more of operation, vocational or professional level.
Yeah. That is true, sir. I know when you talk
That's
about Saudi
right.
Arabia, Middle East. So I spent my
Totally right
14
about
years.
it.
I spent my 14 years in Middle East, especially in Saudi. So I was there from 1999 to 2013. Okay, so when we completed our certifications in supply chain in 2001, 2002, okay, so 20, 22 years back, okay. So at that time it was new. So the companies have invested at that time, even they send me for a certification kind of thing. But now I think they have recognized, the Middle East people have recognized the value of supply chain. But still in India, I think there is a huge gap of skill gap closure in India, by the way. Okay, but they're trying to catch up, but it will take some time. There is a tremendous opportunity, Alex, to close the skill gap in India, because I think there is a lot, maybe more than 50, 60, 70% skill gap is there in supply chain. Okay, so that has to be closed to achieve the excellence. Okay, so any final thoughts, sir? Any questions? So let us. This is, I think, that the topics what we talk about for talent.
Discussion.
Yeah. So you talk about talent. What is your advice for the organizations, for especially mid-sized organizations? So how can they plan their supply chain educations or health? Yeah, please.
I think it has to be a bottom-up approach. We start from them, bottom-up approach. They need to make sure that they will employ the right people. If not, if they don't find, because sometimes there is a skill gap, they bring people and then train them. Number two, they listen to them. There is a feedback. There is a feedback, daily feedback channels from the top up, that they listen to what their guys are saying, and there will be some action on it. Okay, and they create a team. They create a teamwork environment where everyone put his ideas and let the best comes out. Because if you want to have a sustainability growth in your business, it has to be a bottom-up approach. Bottom-up approach where people are not numbers. People are part of the organization. People give their feedback. So, okay, although people, when you talk to people and they take feedback, maybe salary is always comes on top of the agenda. But there are people, their salary is not number one. It's the environment around them.
The environment.
The environment around them. So they need to listen to what the people are saying and take the feedback and put some action. Because when you listen to someone and you stop talking and you listen to stop, and you're taking this listen and give him the space to move around and talk, it creates motivation, it creates good environment, it creates a long-term sustained growth. And at the end, who's benefiting? They're benefiting the same organization and their clients.
Yeah. Sir, let us take up some questions. Now, especially manufacturing-focused organizations, they consider the supply chain as some sort of the expense for them. Okay. So now, what is your advice for the CEOs of mid-size organizations? How they have to position their supply chains to make it as a competitive advantage? So very like top 3 things they should do, okay, to make their supply chains competitive. I know there are several topics. So what are the top 3 things they should do from your point of view, Captain Vivek?
In my view, the whole board should read this book.
Yeah. Okay.
So they need to understand what the supply chain does for a company. So many people don't know what is supply chain. People are confused between what is logistics, what is supply chain, and what is procurement and what is supply chain. People don't know the difference. So once they understand what you can get from a supply chain, then they'll be willing to invest in supply chain. But till they don't know, they will basically just keep ignoring it, keep it putting in the side room. So that is where the failure is. Supply chain cannot sell itself, cannot sell its value to people at the high level. So we did that. So sometimes many years ago, we were speaking to politicians, to the prime ministers, and then suddenly government policy level there were many differences, and countries started investing in the infrastructure. So that is very hard. But unfortunately, unless the board understands what is the importance of supply chain, in fact, what I am advocating right now is supply chain board. So board have a subcommittee which is responsible for supply chain security and supply chain efficiency. Unfortunately, right now that's not happening. But I'm talking about this in every way. I can talk about this.
So the supply chain board, are you talking about within a company or like a group of companies who are connected in supply chain?
Yeah, you go to big companies, they have a board subcommittee for many things, for remuneration and for many things. They should have a subcommittee for supply chain.
It's very interesting, sir.
Yeah. So that's my
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
perfect, sir. Yeah, Alex, would you like to say top 3 key takeaways for CEOs to make their supply chain a truly competitive advantage? So what do you think? Yeah.
First of all, they look at 360 degrees around them. They go out of their room and see what is happening around them. And they will be not only short term, because on the day to day it's a short term, but they need to be long term visionaries. Okay, that's number one. Number two, they can be leaders by example. They be good leaders and leaders by example. Okay, and when I say leaders, it means even if you look at the pyramid of management, sometimes it can flow. Instead of you look top down, you look from bottom up, because you need to show your people that you're one of them. A good leader is to lead and show the people he's one of them, not staying up there. It's not those days are finished. And as Captain said, try to open up the knowledge of supply chain across the board. Open up the knowledge. Everyone should have the same, should have a good understanding about supply chain, from the CO to the cleaner. Okay, and have one simple mission statement. Clients satisfaction is the mission statement of the company. So they need to have an open mind. If they have an open mind, I'm sure they will succeed. They need to be open-minded in 360 degrees. To see what at the end of the day, this is the question: what makes you different from the others? This is the day. What makes you different, not only in cost and service? What makes you different from the others? If you have an answer for that, then it makes you success. So make sure you're different from the others.
Perfect. So you need to know what makes your organization different than other people, other companies. So that, and you drive that, and you go out and have a 360-degree view what is going on. That's very interesting point. Sir, just let me say what is in my opinion is, when you talk about your organization, you want to achieve excellence in supply chain and also achieve competitive advantage. So look at your supply chain strategy. Okay, it's not enough to have the business strategy in place. So look at your supply chain strategy. Is it aligned to business strategy or not? I think you need to have a look at it. You need to spend time. So you do a very nice business strategy. You have a very fantastic things, finance and everything. But when it comes to supply chain, if you don't have a right supply chain strategy in place, you will have a problem. So to get that supply chain strategy in place, you need to do all those things what Captain Vivek and Alex has said. So look up what is working and what is not working for your industry. So how you are scaling up. So having a good supply chain strategy is one of the very important thing. The second thing what I say is, you need to have a good planning processes, supply chain planning. So yes, operations are very important. You spend a lot of time in operations. you need to excel. But sometimes, if you don't have a proper supply chain planning, you will have a big disturbance in supply chain operations. So have a good supply chain planning process in place. Okay, it need not be very complicated. It should be very simple. But you need to have a good supply chain planning process in place. You invest in, especially in the people or in the systems, whatever. And then in supply chain operations, when it comes to supply chain operations, do it properly. So like invest in the people, invest in systems. I think these two things you do it, and proper feedback, and then you introduce KPIs. So proper key performance indicators you need to introduce so that you know exactly what is happening. And I think, Alex, the proper communication with the supply chain members, how they add value to the organization, is very equally important. Okay, so there is you should keep on communicating the value of good supply chain operations and processes, important for the organizations to achieve. I think that's a key point what we have. Okay, so I think we are done with the program. Alex, any final thoughts?
No, I first of all, these programs should be something ongoing because there is so much to say and to share. And I think if you allow me to suggest something, sir, I would say that maybe in the future you can invite some students or practitioners to come and join this discussion. Not just, it would be good to share with them and take their feedback and know what they think, what they perform, and exchange information. And it's good because people like to exchange ideas.
That's excellent. That's excellent. I think that's what we want to do. Our conference team is doing that. So they are trying to bring the fresh minds, operations people. Okay. So then we will have a global supply chain conference very soon, maybe in August, where we talk about it, like a 2-day event where we bring, as you said, the practitioners, consultants, the operational team members, and also some students. Okay, so we bring all of them and to make a very competitive platform, hopefully. So I think that's a program what we want to conclude. So thank you, participants, for joining the session. Thank you, Alexander Borg, for your time. It's fantastic inputs. Really, I learned a lot. Thank you, Captain Vivek. I think Captain Vivek missed it. Maybe he got disconnected, or maybe he's joining. I don't know. Okay, so it was a pleasure talking to pleasure talking to the experts of global level. It is our privilege from Data Labs India to sponsor this event. So Frusi is our product suite for supply chain excellence, which includes warehouse management, fleet management, transportation management, the ERP, and then the demand planning. So entire supply chain suite. I wish if anybody interested to look at the demonstration or talk to us, so we'll be very happy to do that. And finally, I thank you everybody. Thank you organizers. Kuldeep, thank you very much for organizing a very nice event. Okay, so welcome all comments. Anyone who wants to know a specific question, please write to us. So we'll get it answered from Alex, myself, or Captain Vivek. We'll be very happy to do that. Okay. So thank you for joining the session, and thank you for making this program very successful. So thank you, everybody. Thank you everybody. And then I take this opportunity to thank you one and all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.